Okay, we're back live streaming. I'm going to call the meeting back to order. It's been noted by Chair Poplinski that we actually missed a bit of his agenda, so I'm going to turn it back over to Chair Poplinski to complete the item that we missed.
Yes, thanks, Mary Love, and my apologies for missing this. And if there are questions, I understand the chief is not with us, but I'm more than willing to take them down and get any answers to anyone's questions. So, and what we're dealing with is pages 119 and 120 in your package, and it's the actual budget to actual dealing with the fire protection. So if there's anyone has any questions, I'd be more than happy to make a note of it. Don't see any hand. Oh, yes, Mary Love.
Thank you, Chair. I think my question is more for Amanda. Just looking on page 120 on the fire department budget, I noticed there are two lines that seem to both read North Station maintenance and expense. I'm just wondering, is that, are they addressing two different things, or is it just one of those little things we find as we're transitioning from one software to another?
You're correct with the latter. So there were just a bunch of accounts that had been created in the past, and everything got transferred over. So I had to keep one, and I will be moving for the 2021, moving, just amalgamating them into one line and then canceling one line. So hopefully for future reporting, only one line will show up.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions from any members? Okay, not seeing any. Then I'll give the gavel back to you, Mayor Love. Thanks for your indulgence.
Mayor Love, you were muted when you were speaking.
Was I? Oh, I apologize.
Didn't hear you.
Geez, and I thought I was done. Okay, thank you, Chair Poplinski. Our next committee is Recreation and Community Development Committee, and I'm turning it over to Chair Wilmer.
Thank you, Mayor Love, and I hope I stay in here. I'm losing everyone, and as I say, I keep being told I'm unstable. I actually wasn't even there to vote on the vaccine. So anyway, we'll start. We have a number of reports. The first one, I think we have Stephanie here, do we?
Yep.
Hi, Stephanie. Okay, the first one is a donation request to the Renfrew County 55 plus seniors games, and I think the recommendation is that we provide $250 to them. They've been hurt by having to cancel their games last year, and Stephanie, I'll let you talk on it.
Sure. So previous to this year, we've provided the use of the Paul J. Yakubuski Community Center to house the shuffleboard games as part of this group. And again, it's 55 plus games that are held all around the Renfrew County. And then from there, the games participants are able to eventually travel on to provincial games, again, 55 plus. That being said, COVID has put a damper on everything, just like it usually has this past year. And that being said, they were canceled last year. Nothing happened. They would like to move forward with some kind of games this year. Their plans aren't concrete yet. And as you'll see in the letter, they would just are looking for our assistance and donation to help their group get a start. And in lieu of providing the arena, which I'm not sure that we will need to provide years to come, as most of the equipment has been divvied to other locations now, I was hoping that Council would consider a donation to this group to allow their programming to go forward.
All right. Is there any discussion from Council? I see none. So although everyone's frozen,
Councillor Poplinski has his hand up.
Oh, thank you. Actually, so if you can let me know, because everyone's frozen on my screen.
Will do.
Thank you,
Okay.
Councillor Poplinski.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, my question is, it's the, not just the one-time, looks like one-time donation, but then you're looking for subsequent annual donations? That's sort of not, I would certainly frown upon that, because I don't think we should commit any other councils, any council to any further donation down the road. So that I would be not in favor of doing that. And I'm open to discussion as to the merit of giving them $250. I'm not really sure what it does. I don't have enough information. Don't remember back a few years ago when I think we did contribute something, and certainly the use of our facilities. And I'm sure there was a cost involved with when we've done that in the past, cost involved with staff, cleaning and maintenance and everything else. So that would be my question. Thanks.
If I can respond then, I guess. So every year, this request comes to staff here at the township. Each year, various municipalities around the county donate to this cause, even the municipalities who offer their facilities. I'm not sure of the rental agreements. They do contribute as well. So I put it out there as to say that we would like to do this as a regular donation, just so that we are supporting this initiative. And if council doesn't see that the ongoing donation is something that we need to consider, just be aware that this request does come annually from this group.
And I think this year's a little different because of the COVID situation, but I certainly would like to keep it as an annual request, not just give a blanket if we are indeed going to approve it. But I think also, just wanted to clarify or confirm, Stephanie, we do every year have participants in this, right? I know one year it was the tennis facility and the tennis club did participate, and I know there have been other years with shuffleboard. I'm just wondering, any idea what we would be hosting this year, and given the arena situation?
No, they haven't asked for the facility at all, so I don't know what their plans are. It's just going to be, for at this point, the monetary donation. And yes, there are regular participants from our area who do participate in shuffleboard. When we were at the facility 2 years ago, I would say almost a quarter of the people who were participating were from Madawaska Valley Township.
Okay. Any other comments from council?
I think Amanda's got her hand up.
Amanda?
So just looking back to the 2018 donation request report that was created for council, the Renfrew County Seniors Games, the value of the donation that we provided, which would have been the facility rental, equals $895.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Mayor Love.
Chair. Chair, just first note that if you're having internet issues, others have found out that if you turn your video off, it may help stabilize your internet. So while we won't be able to see you, you may be able to see us and we won't be frozen. I've found that in other meetings. In relation to this, my only concern with this is I want to know what they are thinking in terms of dealing with COVID guidelines and the health unit, because I mean, if they were to look at doing the games in the fourth quarter of the year, odds are, a lot of our seniors would be vaccinated, but there doesn't seem to be any indication of that. So I'm a little bit concerned that we would be supporting something that is proposing to bring seniors from across the county together without, they're not giving me a comfort level that they are working in conjunction with the health unit and that this is acceptable. I don't want to find our municipality in a circumstance where we're getting negative press because we're supporting the seniors games and it's perceived to be in contravention of the guidelines for COVID-19. So I don't know, can we seek some clarification from them in terms of are they working with the health unit? Because that would give me a great deal of comfort to know that they were doing that and that they were going to be closely following the guidelines. I don't really have a concern with providing them with $250 per se, but I think it should be a question of what are we willing to do annually. In future years, they may want to have use of our facility rather than have, a monetary donation. So I'd rather leave that open, but I would feel a lot more comfortable supporting this if I knew that there was that partnership with Renfrew County and District Health Unit. Thank you.
If I may, Mr. Chair?
The only line that even indicates any COVID sort of awareness is it does say in the letter, the dates, however, are unknown at this time. So I think they do recognize, but it doesn't tell us when. I mean, normally these games are held in May, June, if I'm correct, I believe. So they won't be held then. So anyway.
If I may,
perhaps we could get
Mr.
some more
Chair?
information. Yep.
It's Sue. Just wanted to add, if you recall, I'm not sure if it was last year. I know we did some of it last year. In 2018, we had discussed the use of donation. And it was Council's direction that if it is something that we generally do every year, not to call it a donation, that staff should bring it forward during budget deliberations, and it's included in the budget and it's identified that that's what we're doing. So this is something that Council has done every year, and I concur that we always try not to tie other councils to those decisions. So by adding it to the budget, as per both Councillor Poplinski and Councillor Wilmer's point, then it's something that is budgeted yearly. I could, if you do want to consider the $250, instead of calling it a donation, I could have the resolution state that you're approving adding $250 to the recreation budget to be provided to the Renfrew County 55 plus senior games, conditional to more details regarding participation and the organizers receiving approval from the Renfrew County District Health Unit as it pertains to COVID guidelines. And I'm not sure if that addresses.
I would be happy with that because I don't think we should be bringing all these annual grants every time. But anyway, Councillor Poplinski.
Yes, should we mention the fact that they get the free use of the building as well at this time, if they want it?
Yeah, if I may, I don't think it's been requested this year because I'm not sure that it's happening here.
Okay. Okay, so what if they need it? What do we do then?
Then it would have to come as a separate request.
I would like to see them make the request every year because we've got a lot of challenges coming up. And I certainly would not want to, even though it's not a significant amount of money, I think it's the whole concept of it, just to assume that we're going to be giving this every year. I'd like to see them come and ask for it every year.
And if I may, to clarify that point, by adding that it's conditional to the games happening as well, and if it's part of the recreation budget, then it just remains within the recreation budget and it's dispensed once it's been approved that it will move forward and that there'll be participation.
Mary Love.
Yes, we have to recognize that with the uncertainty about when the vaccination centers will need to be operating, we don't know for certain when the arena will need to be used and when it will be, or if it will be available for some time, recognizing how many people need to be vaccinated and that they all have to be vaccinated twice. So they're not asking for the facility this year, and that's probably a good thing because I don't know how we could commit to that at the same time as being committed to ensuring that vaccinations proceed in our community. However, I like what Sue just said about the idea that it be contingent on the games actually happening. It seems important to me to support it if they're happening. However, if they're not happening, then we should recognize that we probably have other needs for the money rather than just providing it without there actually being that ability for our community to participate. In terms of going forward, if in subsequent years they do want to use our facility, then recognize that it is a significantly larger donation to provide the facility to them than the $250. So that may make this one a little bit difficult to pin down to one line item that stays the same anyways. So perhaps at this point, we just deal with this specific year and, make sure we're covering all our bases for this year and not worry about the future at this point in time.
Yeah, I like the wording of Sue's motion with that added for sure. But I think the other thing too, we should find out what they plan if they are go ahead, what they plan for Madawaska Valley. I mean, they have you, and I think we should make it clear to them that the arena is not available. And in the past, they have, as I said, used the tennis courts. They've also used, I believe, the horseshoe pits quite a while ago too. So there are other facilities we have that they may request. So it would be important to find out what they are thinking of for Madawaska Valley. So I guess if there's Sue or Stephanie.
Sorry, I guess the only thing I can add is they're unfortunately waiting for COVID. They haven't made any decisions. They're not comfortable in saying what it is they want to move ahead with. At this point, obviously, their letter states that they are waiting for the new vaccine to be distributed, and they'll make a decision from there. And as I stated earlier, the equipment that was previously in Barry's Bay for shuffleboard has been moved to another location. I believe it's in Calabogie right now. So I don't foresee the use of the arena being something requested unless it's for a different activity. So just for at least this year.
All right. Perhaps, Sue, you could read your motion or recommendation and we could vote on that.
Through the chair, that council approve adding $250 to the recreation budget in support of the Renfrew County 50+ Seniors Games, conditional to more details regarding participation, and the organizers confirming they have received approval from the Renfrew County District Health Unit as it pertains to COVID guidelines.
55+.
Yes.
Could I have a mover for that? I will move then. Seconded by Councillor Schulis. All those in favor? Sorry, I should ask, any further discussion?
Nope.
All those in favor? All those in favor? Carried. Thank you, Sue.
Welcome.
Sorry, this. Okay, so the next item we have item 9.12, recreation update, and I'll let Stephanie speak on that.
Okay, so I wanted to give council an update on just kind of some of the goings on with the plans for what we're hoping to accomplish this year in recreation, as well as a couple initiatives that are in the works or possibilities. So the Canada Healthy Communities Initiative, and some of the information is provided there. We were hoping to go ahead and apply for playground refresh. This was going to be something in the budget for 2021. As you're all aware, part of the play structure in Barry's Bay was removed due to safety concerns, and the grant opportunity is up to $250,000, and it is free, not a partnership. So it would be 100% paid. So because of this amount, staff felt that you could include both playgrounds in this opportunity, up to 250,000, and it's not guaranteed, obviously, and they may or may not approve the entire amount requested, but it's something that staff has confirmed that we do see as a need, and it would align with the guidelines in the documentation from the grant. In addition to that grant, there were two other grants, again, 100% paid. I found out about them kind of at the last minute, but I went ahead and applied for more sport recreation programming, which of course will all be independent of COVID guidelines and would have to all be approved through Renfrew County District Health Unit. But the things that I've requested could also be done independently at home on your own with the use of equipment. So for council information, I went ahead and applied for a participation grant, which would be up to $1,000, which we were successful with previously. If council remembers the Try at Madawaska Valley that was done in 2019. And this participation grant, we were hoping to use it towards a walking hiking program and a Nordic walk program, which would culminate onto a walk, which could be done as a group under COVID guidelines or individually under COVID guidelines. So the $1,000 would be used to pay for the advertising, the purchase of walking, hiking sticks, which down the road could be lent out and used on a regular basis out of township facilities. And we can use those down the road. Additionally, the Canadian Tire Sport Relief Funding through Jumpstart has 3 intakes. One of the 3 intakes started on February 25th. The program needs to be operating between, I believe it was March 1st, or sorry, March 15th and May 31st. So what staff put forward was disc golf. And if Councillor Wilmer remembers, we did win a disc golf unit that we could put out as part of a disc golf course within the Township of Madawaska Valley. This grant could help pay for the additional holes used for disc golf, which are big metal baskets. And people individually can do that at our playgrounds, at our ball fields, wherever we deem could be a good location for these. And we could spread them out through Barry's Bay and Combermere. And Will know, I just couldn't think of a good place if anybody has any suggestions. But if we were successful, they could provide us up to 9 holes. And then additionally comes with those discs that they could be lent out again from the tennis court facility or the railway station. Minimal storage for these type of things, so it wouldn't take up a lot of space. And then the last item we had, in addition to that opportunity, the next intake, I just put down additional ideas to go forward with the next intakes. So the next intake would be for the next 3-month period and then the following 3-month period. So none of this has been confirmed at all. I was just kind of getting prices and ideas. And we would go from there. But with the broom ball, I was hoping to do that into the fall, and would also be able to bring that type of programming into the arena. Council had challenged staff to bring in more revenue at that facility. And if we could use this type of a grant to offset the cost, I believe the nets for the broom balls or broom ball nets specifically are upwards of $1,500 for the set. So if we could offset some of that cost with this type of a grant in the fall, that would be something that we could consider then. Again, being able to rent our ice surface for more than just hockey skating could be used for broom ball as well. And then the last item on that report, or sorry, the second to last item is tackle share. Again, this is 100% provided through the Ontario Federation of Anglers and Hunters. The tackle share program provides fishing equipment to be borrowed out and returned. The only requirement would be somebody would need to make sure it's in working condition before the next person borrows it out. So they did ask if we had staff on hand to be able to control fishing rods. So I don't think that's an issue here. And then we can be able to borrow that out. We won't be able to find out about that until into March. They do have to check with their current lending areas and see if they have extra equipment to share. Again, these are types of things that wouldn't be a lot to store. So we're hopeful that we are successful, and then that provides that opportunity for people to come into our locations, see where we are, and it's an advertising opportunity as well through Tackle Share. The last one, unfortunately, I wanted to put it in there, is the Artisan Festival for 2021. Normally in January, February, the advertisement goes out for the Artisan Festival. Everybody plans their summer early. And as of this point, I have not put out the application form. Last year, it was council's decision upon my recommendation that we put a hold on the Artisan Festival, just for the same reasons as last year. Unfortunately, putting out a festival with a poor turnout may down the road not have people wanting to come. With the unknown of COVID as well, it's hard to predict what the plan would be for that festival, what the requirements would be. If we go back into a lockdown situation, the only type of outdoor event that in last summer was able to run had to be food related. The Artisan Festival generally isn't food related. So I did put out to say that we could do a social media campaign with some of the vendors who usually participate and maybe keep that word going that we're doing something. I can reach out to the vendors who would normally register and do a quick initiative with them, just to say this is normally the week that we would be doing this, and reach out to these vendors if you're interested in their wares. So sorry, that was a long-winded report, but I wanted to give council a bit of an update as to where I kind of see our summer hopefully going, depending on COVID guidelines.
Okay, thank you, Stephanie. Just my comment on it. First of all, I think it's great the number of grants you're looking into, and I'm particularly pleased with the Healthy Communities Initiative. Play structures are very expensive. I think people are surprised at how expensive they are, but and we have a problem where we need to upgrade and replace ours. So I think this would be perfect if we were able to get a successful application in, because 250,000 would probably be about the right amount to do the two of them. So I think it's great, and I hope we can apply for it and are successful. Councillor Poplinski.
Yes, thanks, Mr. Chair. Through you, my question to Stephanie. I noticed in the report says that the applications have to be received by March the 9th. Is that going to create a bit of an issue for us?
I don't believe so. No, I have the quotes that I'm required for the application, and I'm meeting with a group of community members this week to go over some of their thoughts. And when I say community members, I've reached out to a couple schools, as well as the Madawaska Valley Association for Community Living, to get their insight into our playgrounds. And then I will have the application prepared for March the 9th.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? All right, so we have a report for information, but there are 2 action items, so we do need a motion on it.
Do you want me to
Sue?
read that? Yes.
Yes, please, Sue. Yeah.
That council accepts this report as information, and that council directs staff to apply for the Canada Healthy Communities Initiative for playground structures in Barry's Bay and Combermere, and that council directs staff to cancel the 2021 Artisan Festival.
Could I have a mover for that? Nobody?
Yes, I have Mayor Love and Councillor Poplinski.
Okay, everyone's frozen. So moved by Mayor Love, seconded by Councillor Poplinski. All in favor, and you'll have to tell me the result.
Carried.
Carried, thank you. All right. All right, so the next item is the Rural Townships Working Group, and the recommendation that the Rural Townships Working Group report is accepted as information. Stephanie, can you tell us about that, please?
Sure. So we started a few conversations by email, and it was only a couple groups. And we're all kind of trying to brainstorm, what are we doing with COVID? What can we do? What should we do? Where can we help each other? And it's resulted in a large number of what I would consider rural municipalities coming together in hopes that we can help each other and plan for some sharing of information, some sharing of connections, sharing of programming, or sharing of equipment, with the hopes that we can go ahead and move forward with something recreation wise under COVID. And therefore, in the end, you may see a result in lower funds coming from each individual municipality when we're all kind of challenged to do the same things. So we spoke about some economic development ideas, partnership opportunities, grant applications, and the digital Main Street has come up as well. So those are things that we're looking into. We have a follow-up meeting this week. So each group has taken, oh, not sorry, each township has taken on a responsibility of sorts, and we're all kind of doing our own digging, background information gathering, and then we're all going to reconvene and see where we're at this week, and then go from there. So I want to just council to be aware that we are reaching out to other municipalities and seeing what we can do together, and not be in our own little silos trying to do what it is we're all doing on a daily basis.
All right, thank you. Councillor Bromwich, I have a frozen picture of you with your hand up. I don't know how long ago that was.
I'm okay, Mark, thanks. I don't need any help.
Okay, so we have this report. It's just for information. Is there any discussion on it? I think it's great. It's often hard to work in a recreation department by yourself, so it's nice to have the peer support and advice to have them around.
Mayor Love's
Mayor
hand
Love,
is up.
Yeah,
Mayor
thank
Love.
you. Thank you, Chair. I wasn't sure whether I was frozen with or without the cattail coming out of my head there for a moment. Stephanie, I think this is a great initiative. Fantastic that our local rural municipalities are working together and trying to help each other, because a lot of the ideas, the individual ideas that separate municipalities have come up with to deal with doing some recreation in COVID and having some events for their communities have been great ideas. And the fact that you're now working together and sharing and also spreading the load of investigating various options across the staff in the municipalities is a fantastic idea. I hope post-COVID that this kind of cooperation can continue, because there may be many things that we could do with partner municipalities to further recreation in our communities and to further economic development. And this, to me, looks like a great first step. Really, really pleased to see this. Thank you so much.
All right, any other discussion? Okay, we'll move on to the item 9.14, which is Barry's Bay Recreation Committee Executive, February 11th, 2021. And it's a letter basically from Jason. I don't know if to read it, or I think we all have it. Basically indicating that due to time restrictions, he isn't able to continue, and also another member has had to resign too. But they are hoping to, and they're thanking everyone on the committee, including Councillor Shu, and are hoping to be active in the future again. And I think they've done a lot of good work, and I'm sure we will see them doing more in the near future. Councillor Shulis.
Yes, through you, Chair. Yeah, I'll tell you what. This whole initiative, I remember when we started, thanks to Stephanie, to engage, the public, to put a group together to do some recreation stuff, and they had a great start. COVID came around, and it's so much tougher. I know the chair, Dr. J, as I call him, he has put a lot of good, valuable time into this here, but of course now he's part of the vaccination and stuff, so we can understand that. And to get volunteers, it's really, really hard. So a little pause here, and I know at the next meeting there will be a little report in on I think the minutes, and also they had an event, what is called the outdoor rink contest, and it went really good. It's Dr. J tells me that there's going to be something done in the local newspaper, the Valley Gazette, and so those are positive things. And hopefully with this little pause, hopefully it'll engage the public to get more involved, because this is a great idea of getting the public engaged in that. So anyway, Stephanie, I don't know if you want to say something, but I do appreciate the hard work you've been doing, part of the group. And I know we're trying to be arm's length from this group, but at the same time, we're there to support them. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything to add. Yep.
All right, I don't know.
Is our chair still here? Okay.
Yeah, I'm still here. I was wondering if Stephanie was going to say a few words, but yeah, I will say, I think they've done a lot in the short time they've been together, and I look forward to them coming back at full strength after their pause, and certainly thank the outgoing members and Dr. Malinowski for chairing it and really being the lead force behind this. So we can all understand why he no longer has time at this point. All right, we'll move on to our final item, which is the budget to actual. It's like our other departments have the budget sheets in front of you. Are there any questions? These are the economic development ones. And PR, I guess. Any questions?
If I may, I wasn't sure if there, sorry, I wasn't sure. I know there's going to be a lot of webinars coming up, and I know that at the AMCTO level, they're encouraging councils and management to ensure that we continue training our staff and taking advantage of some of the workshops. So I just wanted to ensure that we had considered some training for economic development if there was in the budget. So I wasn't sure if, I don't know how much the courses are, but that we consider that as we look at the budget. And we can bring that back at budget deliberations. I just wanted consideration.
Yeah, no, I think we should, because you're right. There's nothing in it right now. Is there? Not that I see. All right. Yeah, I think that's something to note for budget discussions.
Mhm.
All right, everyone's frozen. I head over to the mayor.
Oh, okay. Thank you,
Thank you.
Chair. Thank you, Chair. I guess we're pretty much completed that. I hope you unfreeze shortly. All right, so we'll move on to planning matters in the statutory meeting under the Planning Act. Under municipal reports, we have the building status report for January 2021. Is there any, oh, and Mr. Larbetsky has joined us. Did you want to speak to this, sir?
Yes, Madam Mayor. I think the report that was submitted was for January. It should have been for February, but just because of the timing of our meeting, the CBO just provided me with the February status report. So if I could, I'll just give a verbal report on that. The number of building permits that have been issued are a total of 4. 3 of them were single detached dwellings for a value of $430,000, and the accessory building garage, I believe it was valued at $50,000 for a grand total of $480,000 for the month of February, which now gives us a grand total of 10 permits this year at a value of $1,005,500. So that's new added assessment to the roll for this year. And it's not like the building department hasn't been working. There are so many permits in the queue right now, just a matter of waiting for plans or whatever, but it looks like it's going to be a busy spring once again. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I recall once upon a time, the winter used to be a little bit of a time when you could get caught up on things and things slowed down. Apparently, that's not the case any longer. We're quite busy throughout the entire year now. Any questions from council? Okay, I'm not seeing any. Mark, if you have a question, just say something so I recognize that you do, or give a thumbs
No,
up
I
or
have no
something.
questions.
Okay, I just because I can't see you, but hopefully this will help you
Yeah.
to be able to stay.
I'm going to try. Anyway, no questions.
Okay, that's good. No problem. Thank you. All right, our next item is cash in lieu of parkland. The report is Sue's report. So Sue, did you want to speak to it?
Yes, if I may, this is more a housekeeping item, and I brought it forward in form of a resolution because some of these decisions were made from the previous council, and we now have 3 from the previous council, 2 from a new council. So this is a formality. The county is finishing the municipal conditions. We have to advise if council is still accepting cash in lieu of parkland for this Cumbermere Lodge subdivision condominium project. So the recommendation that I have is that council approves 5% cash in lieu of parkland from the Cumbermere Lodge Limited CLL, and that funds be deposited in a dedicated reserve for parks and playground as per policy.
Hey, could I get a mover for the recommendation, please? Moved by Councillor Wilmer, seconded by Councillor Schulist. Is there any discussion on the recommendation? Seeing none, all those in favor? Okay, and that's carried. Okay, so if you could get back to the county with that, Sue, then hopefully we can get that subdivision and plan of condominium completed very soon.
Will do. Thank you.
All right, our next item is budget to actuals for the planning and building department. And I guess maybe I'll ask if there's any questions from council on this page of the accounts. I'm not seeing any questions at this point. Okay. So I guess we don't have any questions on that at this point. And thank you, Silas, for your attendance. We can let you go back to all the many things that are piling up on your desk.
Very good. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
No problem. Okay. We don't have correspondence and information or outstanding matters in planning today, so we're going to move on to finance and administration. Under municipal reports, our first report is Valley Manor redevelopment. And Sue, did you want to speak to this?
Yes. So this is just an update to council. There was a staff technical work group over Zoom on Wednesday, February 17th, just to meet their project management team. They just wanted to give us the next steps and wanted to discuss what requirements the municipality had. We did ensure that we included Aqua and County of Renfrew as well as our municipal engineer on that call, just so that they're aware if they had any questions that they should bring them forward as well. So we do have some action items, and those are the next steps. And so at this point, we've identified that there's one point of contact for the municipality for their project management team, and it will be through our large building chief building official, Mr. Andrew Poplinski. So they've already been communicating, and so I feel that that was a good step forward, and we will be scheduling some updates for council.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions for Sue about the Valley Manor redevelopment? Okay, I'm not seeing any, and we don't have a recommendation, so we're just accepting that as information, I take it.
Yes.
Okay, we'll move on then to municipal human resources services. It's hard to say. And Sue, did you want to speak to this?
Yes, so I'm seeking council approval to continue to utilize the services of Suzanne Hunt of Templeman, LLC for human resources needs as it pertains to bargaining and union contracts. But I'd also like council consideration to reach out to the Delphi Group of Pembroke. I attached a proposal that has gone out to a few municipalities for consideration. And the reason I'm asking for this is the County of Renfrew Human Resources Development, as council was briefed previously, is in the works of of engaging some managers for the County of Renfrew Human Resources Department. And we are presently looking at job descriptions as well as organizational charts, and I wouldn't want that to be held up. And we'd like to proceed until the County of Renfrew is again fully staffed to be able to assist. We did send some inquiries to the county and they weren't able to assist just yet. So I thought instead of losing ground on some of our employment issues, that if I provided you with cost as well as availability, maybe we could proceed with that in the interim.
Okay, thank you. So are there any questions from council? Councillor Poplinski.
Yes, thanks, Mayor Love. I'm just with the costs associated with a service like this. That's something that's, as you say, we usually deal with the county, but we also, if I'm correct in saying that we also pay the county for their, when we used to have Mr. Beakley come, then we would pay accordingly for that service. So there really not too much has changed. We need the service. So I would suggest strongly that we explore as to what all they can do for us. You know,
Yes,
we're talking about the service review. I don't know whether they do that, but and I can see the need to do that before we actually adjust any of our. We may have to make some minor adjustments, but some more major ones after a service review with our chart, organizational chart. So I think it would be important to get moving on this as quick as possible.
Yes, you are correct. We do get some hours that are included in our levy at the county, but when we did projects like such as what we're undergoing now and pay equity or organizational reviews, it was billed by the hour. And that's why I asked them to include their cost on this. And they did provide within their package that they, you know, HR consulting includes organizational charts, compensation, benefits, job description, policy reviews, development, employee engagement, and they also do collective bargaining, but we do already have Templeman that has been involved from the beginning. So we would save costs by being able to continue with Templeman if we have anything that's contract related, if council concurs. And then the Delphi group also has some leadership coaching and some business consulting, and that pertains to assistance with an oversight of strategic operational planning, succession planning, and board effectiveness as well. So I'm not looking for a resolution, just for guidance and so that I can reach out so that we don't lose ground in our review.
Okay, thank you. In relation to that, Sue, I noticed in the information they provided us that they indicated that there would be no need for a procurement process for services that were less than $25,000, which I would be assuming we would be well under that amount. So that's good to know, because it can take quite a while to go through a procurement process when we are hopeful that we will be able to go back to using the County of Renfrew once the Human Resources Department is restructured and fully staffed. So it is good to know that there is that possibility going forward with the Delphi group to at least do the stopgap in between now and when we could return to the County of Renfrew. Councillor Poplinski.
Yes, thanks, Mayor Love. Yeah, I think because the time is the essence here, I'm wondering, would it be possible when you reach out to them to find out, well, we could do a Zoom meeting with them maybe and get a little more insight as to how we could utilize their service?
Actually, yes, that's very possible. I was talking to one of their representatives, and there's an adjoining municipality that is using their services as well and have been for pay equity. So,
okay, thank you.
Okay.
You're welcome.
All right, Sue, so you don't need a motion from council to use them in the interim, in the sort of stopgap measure at least? That's correct?
Yeah, that's correct. I just wanted some guidance because that was the intent. We're not looking to change services. We're looking for something in the interim until the County of Renfrew is back up and running in that department.
Okay, thank you. I mean, at that point, I think we also should look at the costs associated with using the County of Renfrew versus any other options we have, just to be sure that we are proceeding with the most cost-effective service available to us. Okay, thank you. Anything further from council on this at this point? I'm not seeing anything, so we'll move on to elections 2022. And
So this is more for council information, Madam Chair, and I know it seems like it's far off 2022, but as staff, we will have to start training in 2021, and you'll see some of those costs in the budget. And already we'll have to start going through Municipal Connect and the assessment role so that we can populate data fix, so that we can ensure that our voters list is up to date. And so it will be part of our fall work for staff, and thought that we should be advising council now. We will be putting up our 2022 election tab so that any information as we get forward will be uploaded on our website.
great, thank you. So I noticed in the report that the deputy clerk is going to be our election returning officer. I think that's an excellent training opportunity, and for our deputy clerk to be able to run an election and have an election under her belt. And, you know, I think anytime we can spread the knowledge and the wealth of being able to deal with those sorts of every 4-year jobs that come along, that's a great thing. Make sure that there is some cross training in our municipality. Gwen, I hope I hope you're happy to have another job. We'll have to get you a hat rack and add another hat to it.
Yes, if you recall when we did the job descriptions, part of the deputy clerk succession planning was that because of the role of the clerk, and that is who runs the elections, it was added to the job description as a role.
That's great. Any comments from council? I know you're all gearing up for the 2022 elections. Oh, we just want to get there from here, right? Okay, that's great. Thank you. We'll just accept that as information then, and recognize there may be some budgetary impacts for training.
Yes.
All right, our next item is budget to actuals for administration. And I'm just looking for it. There we go. And there's our treasurer. Amanda, was there anything you wanted to highlight, or should I just ask for questions?
I don't think so. I know that I just wanted to say that the aesthetic requests of the reports that council had mentioned the month previously have not been implemented yet. I'm still trying to get some time with the specialists. When we do have our times booked with them, you know, I try to allow the other staff that are trying to learn how to, you know, do tax billing or water billing or whatever, those key important transactions that need to get done ASAP, they take priority over some of these things. So I've been pushing these things aside and allowing the other staff to get their questions answered. So I do apologize for that. And I know that there was a question about cost centers, so that we can see within the budget we have different jobs and capital projects that are budgeted for, and you would like to see that on the reports. So once the budget is completed, then we will put those cost centers in, and then you will be able to allow to see them in future reports.
Okay, that's great. No, I think we understand completely that it's super important as we're switching from one software package to another, and implementing the new metering software, that the billing, the metering billing for water and wastewater, and the taxation billings are obviously a priority to continue to function as a municipality. And whether or not our reports are, you know, quite as we would like them in the end, we can wait. We appreciate the fact that staff is working so hard to get us there. So are there any questions from council on the budget to actuals for administration? Councillor Poplinski.
Yes, thanks, Mayor Love. I don't have any right at the moment. I do, as I mentioned earlier, I have some questions about a few of the items on the budget, and I will have that conversation with the treasurer. The other thing was that I was hoping that preparation for the budget, we would have all of the things like the overdue taxes. I'm sure that'll be forthcoming before then. And also, I'd also like to see the overtime numbers for all employees as we're looking at budgeting and restructuring and so on. I think that's imperative that I have that, or we have that. And so I'd appreciate if that could be we could be accommodated.
Okay, I think staff's aware of those two requests, and as we're proceeding into budget, if we could get that information, please.
Thank you.
Is there any other questions on the administration budget? Okay, I'm not seeing any, so I'm going to assume there aren't any. And thank you, Amanda. I appreciate the work you're putting into this. We will move on to correspondence and information. First, we have an email from Robert Tremblay, the president of AMCTO, regarding training. Any discussion by council on this email? Sue?
I'll provide for budget the same as I did previously. Just I circulate a worksheet to staff to see what if there's any requirements or if there's anything that they would like to take or they require for 2021, and I'll include that as well with a with a report as to what staff has accomplished in 2020. We have quite a few staff that have taken courses in 2020 that have now completed them, and I'll include that as well.
Okay, great. Thank you. Anything further from council? Okay, this is again just for information. Our next item is an email from NFTC Telecom dated February 23rd, 2021 regarding UBF fiber proposal. So any comments from council on this or discussion? Councillor Wilmer.
Yeah, I'm just not sure on this because we have one, I think several items further down from Bell, which I think is the same thing too. I'm wondering, isn't that the same? Basically, they're asking for our support. I'm just wondering whether we should be supporting one company or both, or what the situation is.
Right, I noticed that as well, and I'm in looking at this one, my only concern is that the draft letter of support refers to Southwestern Ontario. We're definitely not Southwestern Ontario. So while North Frontenac seems to indicate, North Frontenac as a township, I'm a bit confused by that, why we would get a request that drafts a letter for Southwestern Ontario.
Yeah, I mean, we all want what they're trying to achieve, but I don't know whether, I mean, you've got several companies looking for proposals and support. Just not sure what the best way to handle them are.
Mm-hmm. The other letter in the package doesn't refer to a specific area, and I do think Bell is active in our area, so it might be something council could consider agreeing to provide a letter of support, because at least it may be in our area. But again, I came back to this one and went, I'm not sure why it keeps referring to service gaps in Southwestern Ontario, because we clearly would be Eastern or Southeastern. It would have to have the word Eastern in it for it to include Madawaska Valley. Yeah. Sue, do you have any clarification on this or anything you can add?
No, sorry, I don't. I can follow up for you, but no, I don't.
Okay. Do we want her to follow up to find out if it is related to our area, or do we want to just file this? Councillor Bromwich? Sorry, putting you on the spot, you moved your hand.
No, that's okay. No, I wouldn't entertain any follow-up with this. Our main application for broadband was presented formally yesterday to the provincial and federal governments on behalf of EON, or whatever the name of the representatives are here. And I think it's a go-ahead there. I believe when I was talking to the director of that, he was suggesting that Bell would be putting in a bid on it. What's the other one there? There's 2 or 3 are going to be bidding on it. They're going to be putting money into it out of their own pocket to bring us broadband service. We also all now have Starlink that's got applications out that I notice a lot of people are signing up for. So I think we're going to have a glut of broadband before it's all over. And I don't believe this company here should be involved up this way if they're just quoting on southwestern Ontario. So just file it.
Okay, so perhaps, I'm not sure where we're getting the sound from. We're getting some interference. Perhaps we could file this one then, since there doesn't seem to be any interest in pursuing this one as it relates to, as it seems to relate to southwestern Ontario. So in between, Sue, maybe what I'll do is I'll do the other one as well, and we'll talk about it, and then I'll come back to the item in between. So the second one is an email from Neil Hume, I guess, dated February 16th, 2021, regarding funding opportunity to improve Bell connectivity in our community. And the Bell one, I think, is a little more likely to be in our area because Bell is active in our area. I'm wondering if we would provide a letter of support for this particular application. Would council be willing to consider that? Okay, I'm not getting any, and no one, okay, Sue?
I could propose the resolution be that council support Bell's application for Universal Broadband Fund UBF to provide broadband internet services in eligible underserved areas across Canada, and that the letter of support demonstrate the need for access to high-speed internet as a stated priority for Madawaska Valley.
Okay, thoughts? Are we good with that? Or would we, or would we prefer to file this? Councillor Bromwich?
Thank you. I'm on Bell 5100, which is pretty darn fast. And I would be in support of Bell providing this service to us, supporting it. I don't think we can go wrong, at least by supporting their application. I think you get very good service from Bell.
The letter has to be received by March 5th if you are in support.
Okay, so I guess we need a decision today. Councillor Bromwich, did you want to move that then, that we provide the letter of support? Okay, so that's moved by Councillor Bromwich. Can I get a seconder for that motion? Okay. Oh, Councillor Wilmer, are you prepared to second it? Okay. So is there any discussion on providing the letter of support to Bell? Okay, I'm not seeing any. So I guess what I'll do is I'll call the vote. All those in favor? And that's carried. I think it's carried. I'm not sure about Councillor Wilmer. He's frozen on me. All right, so there's a
hand.
Okay, so that's carried. All right, Sue, if you could prepare that letter of support. I don't know whether I'm the one who has to sign it or if you can sign it, but if staff could prepare the letter, I can electronically sign it and we can get it out. Okay, I'll come back to Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing dated January 26, 2021 regarding municipal modernization program. Any comments from council on this? I do believe this is the intake that we were going to apply for funding for a service delivery review. Have I got the right intake here? Yes, okay.
Yes, it is.
All right, any questions, comments on this? It's Councillor Poplinski.
Yes, the only comment, Mayor Love, is that I noticed March 15th is the deadline, so whatever we do, we better get at it if we haven't started.
Okay, I think we did do an application previously, so we have the application pretty much ready to go. It's just a matter of submitting.
Right.
Sue, is that accurate? Sorry.
Yes, yes, that's correct. And in a previous meeting, council did express very strongly that we did feel we would be moving forward with an operational service delivery review. So I have been obtaining some semblances of RFPs that we could utilize as well, and getting some reports so we can complete the application. We did confirm in this intake, because we still do have some funds from the previous modernization fund that remains unspent, but it is dedicated. So because it has been dedicated, we can move forward with the phase 2 application. I believe, Amanda, if I got that right. Oh, maybe she's not there.
Yeah, she might have got called away.
Yeah.
I think I read the same thing. That's ringing a bell for me as well, that it has to be dedicated. It doesn't have to be spent.
Yes. So I would probably at the next meeting, we'll bring a resolution just identifying to council the amount that remains that was dedicated and for what project. And then we'll accompany that, we'll attach that to our application.
Okay, great. Thank you. Anything further from council on this? I'm not seeing anything, so that's good then. We don't have any unfinished business, do we? Again, Sue, I'll ask if we have any unfinished business.
Sorry, I was trying to unmute. No, I do not have any unfinished business.
Okay. All right, then that completes our standing committee portion of the meeting for today. And we are now moving into the regular council portion of the meeting. We'll start with the confirmation of the minutes. First,
Mayor Love,
Mayor Love,
yes? If I may, Councillor Wilmer has his hand up.
Okay, sorry, I was looking down. Councillor Wilmer. And he froze on me.
You're
no.
muted.
He's moving towards it.
Okay.
Okay, just sorry, something I should have suggested earlier, and I just wanted to get to before we moved into regular council, and it's just a follow up on the recreation portion where we were talking about the Barry's Bay Recreation Committee. I just wonder if it would be possible to send the individuals who are resigning or leaving a letter of thank you from the township. I think that would be a good idea. That's my only point.
Yes, I have it marked down as an action item, actually.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, we should have mentioned that, and I think that's a very good thing that we should be doing that. Okay, great. So staff will take care of that, and I will move us into the regular council meeting portion of the meeting now. We'll start with the confirmation of the minutes for the public meeting minutes of February 16th, 2021. The recommendation is that the public meeting minutes for February 16th, 2021 be approved as presented. Could I get a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Bromwich, seconded by Councillor Schulist. Are there any errors or omissions on these minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor? And that's carried. Our next item is the regular council meeting minutes for February 16th, 2021. And just before we get into these, I just want to note to Gwen, and it doesn't change the minutes themselves, but there's a couple of spaces in the mayor's address that were actually changes of paragraphs, and I don't think that they got put into the minutes. So maybe I'll just speak to you after we're done about where it's a new paragraph, because it kind of looks like a long rambling thing and it just somehow got missed in the copy and paste. So I'll speak to Gwen about that. It doesn't change the words, it just makes it easier to read. Okay, so I just wanted to note that. I don't know, that's not really a major amendment, it's just a formatting issue. So what I'll do is I'll read the recommendation. The recommendation is that the regular council meeting minutes for February 16th, 2021 be approved as presented. Could I get a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Poplinski, seconded by Councillor Bromwich. Are there any errors or omissions on these minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor? And that's carried.
In favor.
Okay, thanks, Mark. That helps. That's carried. Our final set of minutes are the special council meeting minutes for April 19th, 2021. The recommendation is that the special council meeting minutes for February 19th, 2021 be approved as presented. Could I get a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Schulist, seconded by Councillor Poplinski. Are there any errors or omissions on these minutes? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor?
In favor.
And that's carried. Is there any business arising from the minutes? Okay, I'm not seeing any business. All right, so we will move into bylaws. Bylaw 2021-18 regarding the appointment of municipal auditors for 2020. McKilligan and Associates. The recommendation is that bylaw 2021-18, being a bylaw to appoint municipal auditors licensed under the Public Accounting Act 2004, be given first and second reading the second day of March 2021. Could I get a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Poplinski, seconded by Councillor Bromwich. Is there any discussion on this recommendation on the bylaw? Seeing none, all those in favor?
In favor.
And that's carried. The recommendation is that bylaw 2021-18 be given third and final reading the second day of March 2021. Could I get a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Schulist, seconded by Councillor Bromwich. Is there any final discussion on the bylaw? Seeing none, all those in favor?
In favor.
And that's carried. Our next bylaw is bylaw 2021-19 regarding amendment to the water and wastewater leak adjustment policy, SOP number WW-01, formerly bylaw 2016-02. Now, I'm wondering if Janice is available to us.
I will go and let her know.
Yeah. Yes, because Council, there were a couple of points in reviewing the policy that Janice and I spoke about that we may want to consider. Ah, here she comes. Hi, Janice.
Kim. Hello.
Okay, you can hear me.
Council.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, thank you for joining us, Janice. Janice and I had a little conversation yesterday about the policy because I had a question for her. And in the process, we discovered a couple of things that we'd like Council to consider as either amendments or additions to the policy. So Janice, maybe what I'll do is I'll just highlight the one item that started our conversation, which would be for Council. It is on page, let's see, let me get there. I'll have to find it. Okay, page 273. So under definitions, Council will see unoccupied. And unoccupied is an unoccupied dwelling and or building, is a dwelling and or building in which occupants are absent from the property for a period of 72 hours or more due to such matters as vacation or prolonged illness. So in conversation with Janice, I said, what if somebody's away on business? What if somebody has some other reason for being not at their home? Perhaps we should make this more generic, and I suggested for 72 hours or more for any reason, but the occupants have not moved out. Because if you look at vacant refers to whether or not that they've moved out. So rather than ending up being very specific about the reason the person was not in their dwelling or in their building for 72 hours, I thought we should be fairly general about that and just make clear that the definition for unoccupied was different than the definition for vacant. Janice, did you want to add to that?
I think you just summed it up pretty
Okay.
well. It just closes up any loopholes, I think.
Yes, and that was the key thing we talked about, was to make sure that we didn't have someone coming back and saying, ah, but I wasn't on vacation or having a prolonged illness, so you can't say that it was unoccupied based on your definition. So this is something we talked about as a possibility to, make this slight amendment to the policy. The second thing that Janice and I talked about was third parties. And Janice, I did go back in the policy and reread it. And this would be on page 270. Wait, is it 274? No, sorry. Keep going. I'll find it. 275. It talks about water leak adjustments will not be granted where, and if you look at number 3, the leak was caused by a third party from whom the customer is able to recover their costs. So that's the one component of a third party, one where the third party is the cause of the leak. But we also talked about the possibility of the cost of the additional water being covered through an insurance policy or some other third party insurance. And that component hasn't been captured. Janice, did you want to add anything to that?
Not really. I just think that I have known of situations where the ratepayers have let us know that their insurance did cover. And I think that should be a viable, that should be an expectation, I think. If they're in a situation where their insurance should cover it, I think they should be expected to go there.
Yes, so the idea being that rather than come to the municipality for leak forgiveness, that if their insurance is willing to cover the extra cost of the water, that would be the first place they would go to seek relief from their extra large water bill,
right,
due to their leak. So we're just making council aware of that. And I think the third item that Janice and I talked about was, what about a situation where the water leak itself occurs outside, for example? So say someone's tap gets turned on and they have a significant amount of water lost in some way due to a faulty tap or some sort of thing where the water doesn't actually go through the wastewater system. Currently, a customer, if they use water, they're charged for water and wastewater, but there are some circumstances where the water hasn't ended up going through the system and into wastewater. And I think we discussed the possibility, if the customer could prove that the water had not actually then become wastewater that had to be processed, that there was the potential to provide them with some relief for that, because we didn't incur the additional cost of processing the wastewater. And I know, Janice, you had mentioned to me that you had a neighbor whose basement filled up with water.
Yes.
And it didn't actually go through the wastewater system. So,
right,
there are opportunities where problems can occur that could happen.
Now that house in particular was in a situation where the house was vacant or unoccupied.
Right.
So he did not receive any relief whatsoever in that situation, but that would be one where.
Okay, and I think council may not remember, well, they may recall that a few years ago, we do have one customer who has wastewater service but does not have water service. They have a meter on their well in order to enable us to be able to know what to charge them for wastewater service. That customer did have a leak in their water system that did not go through the wastewater system because it occurred under the building. So they had a significant meter reading, but they hadn't actually used any wastewater because it was all under the building. And I would refer to that particular situation where council did provide some relief for that customer because they hadn't actually used our service. So we thought that it would be good to include that as well in this policy in order to allow for that possibility in the future. Okay, and Janice, was there anything else? I remember those three because I made notes, but I think those were the key ones that we came up with in our discussion.
Yeah, I think that was it as far as I can recall.
Okay, great, thank you. So what we're proposing to council today is if you wouldn't mind, we will do first and second reading. And if you concur with those 3 points, we'll incorporate them into the leak policy and bring it back for third and final reading so that we're covering all these bases and making sure that our policy, you know, is going to be easily implemented by staff, and it provides some of those options. So is there any questions or comments from council on the 3 items that Janice and I have come up with that we think the policy should include? Okay, any concerns by council?
No, I think they're good adjustments, good.
Okay. All right, so what I'm going to ask today is that we do first and second reading so that we have our bylaw number is saved and everything is ready to go. And then at the next council meeting, we'll come back with the those adjustments included in the leak policy so council can approve the final draft as the third reading of the bylaw. Okay, are we good with that? Okay, and Janice, thank you so much. It was a really interesting conversation we had yesterday. all over me just asking a question about, but what if they're away on business travel?
Yeah, no, that's good. It's all for the better. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Janice.
Okay.
Okay, so I know that was a lengthy explanation, council, but you know, when you can have a conversation with a member of staff and you can figure out that there are a couple things our policy hasn't covered, it's you know, nice to be able to incorporate that into the policy and hopefully avoid issues going forward down the road. All right, so with that, I'm going to do first and second reading. The recommendation is that bylaw 2021-19, being a bylaw to establish a water and wastewater leak adjustment policy with respect to the standard operating procedures of the water and wastewater systems for the Corporation of the Township of Madawaska Valley, be given first and second reading this second day of March 2021. Could I get a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Poplinski, seconded by Councillor Schulist. Any discussion on the bylaw? Seeing none, all those in favor?
In favor.
And that's carried. Okay, so we'll bring that back for third reading at our next meeting. Next is bylaw 2021-20 regarding schedule of fees bylaw for 2021. The recommendation is that bylaw 2021-20 being a bylaw to establish a schedule of fees for the Corporation of the Township of Madawaska Valley, be given first and second reading this second day of March 2021. Could I get a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Wilmer, seconded by Councillor Schulist. Is there any discussion on the bylaw? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor?
In favor.
And that's carried. The recommendation is that bylaw 2021-20 be given third and final reading this second day of March 2021. Could I get a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Bromwich, seconded by Councillor Poplinski. Any final discussion on the bylaw? Seeing none, all those in favor?
In favor.
And that's carried. All right, next we have an in-camera session. The recommendation is that the meeting enter in-camera session to discuss matters pertaining to personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees. Advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose. A trade secret or scientific, technical, commercial, financial, or labor relations information supplied in confidence to the municipality or local board, which, if disclosed, could reasonably be expected to prejudice significantly the competitive position or interfere significantly with the contractual or other negotiations of a person, group of persons, or organizations. Ontario Municipal Act 2001, Chapter 25, Section 239, 2B, F, and I. Number 1 is the Council and Committee meeting minutes in camera of February 2nd, 2021, tabled from February 16th, 2021. Number 2, regular council meeting minutes in camera of February 16th, 2021. Number 3, special council meeting minutes in camera of February 19th, 2021. Number 4, Lakewood subdivision update 5 is wastewater plant update court file. 6, human resource updates, re health benefits Templeman and re CAO clerk update human resource direction. Could I get a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Bromwich, seconded by Councillor Schulist. All those in favor?
In favor.
And